Hello, hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Good.
God,
We're live.
that was a quick countdown.
Well, yeah, I said the 5-second countdown started, and then I told you that the countdown started after we were already 2 seconds in.
Oh man, you know my internal body clock is so accurate that kind of margin for error really throws me off.
Okay, is this whole episode going to be off kilter now because of that?
It will, yeah, yeah. How are things?
Yeah, good, thank you. All good here. Can't complain. Just come off a week of holiday.
Yeah,
which was nice.
You were in France.
I was in France.
Bonjour.
Yeah, it was very hot, but also it was really hot. It was like 35 to 38 degrees each day. But also, like, towards the end of each day, there was distant thunderstorms happening.
Ooh.
So we were never like in the midst of a thunderstorm, but there was always like, I could hear like rolling thunder in the evenings. So it was kind of, you know, just laying in the pool, listening to the thunder and thinking, well, how long have I got to stay in this pool before it's dangerous?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the swimming pool is the last place you want to be.
Yeah.
I remember when I went traveling a couple of years ago. In fact, it was probably about 2 years ago to the day. We were in Laos in Southeast Asia, and there was a thunderstorm, and I was in a mood at the time, and so I refused to get out of the pool. And I was, like, "It'll be fine." And everyone was like, "James, you know," there was like, it's proper like lightning, and you know, like a tropical storm.
Right.
And I was like, "Whatever, I'll be fine," and like refused to get out. And I didn't understand how dangerous it was until afterwards.
So was the thunderstorm like on you?
It was, yeah, like
how
you
many
know how
seconds?
you're meant to count the gap, aren't you, between thunder and lightning? Like it was basically like no gap. It was like a thunderstorm. Yeah.
So there's a good chance that you just might not have been here today. Because
I had main character syndrome, you know, like in my head I was in a film and like it was tipping it down.
Yeah.
And like I was in the pool and like the rain was like bouncing off the pool and I was like, I probably look really cool.
It's like the Crimea River video.
Yeah. Okay. By JT.
Yeah. Okay, well, why were you in a mood? Can you disclose that on here, or is it private?
No, it was nothing like
because you got in a fight,
intimately
didn't you,
private.
Pool table or something?
No, this was way before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Why was in a mood? I can't remember. I'd probably had too many drinks, too many cheap beers, and you know, I was sulking about one thing or another. You know, lack of sleep, too much beer. It's not a good combination.
Too many
for
hostels.
Me, so. Too many scabby hostels, like covered in bites. Yeah, exactly.
What is the beer of Laos, or do they have like Thai beer?
It's really uncreatively called Beer Lao.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a T-shirt, but it was very nice. It's like a premium lager. I'm sure there were more, but that was, you know, like every nation has like its beer. Apart from England, like a lot of nations have like the beer.
Yeah.
And
what is the closest thing we have to that? Is Carling English?
Yeah, it is, but I don't think that would ever be. I feel like Stella is like, I don't know.
Stella's. Is it French?
It's Belgian.
Belgium.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Which they've really lent into. I mean, if we ever do a podcast about rebranding, like Stella is the absolute poster boy for how to do a successful rebrand, because of course it used to have a terrible reputation in the UK.
Yeah.
And now, you know, David Beckham and like a guy with a Belgian accent in the adverts, and suddenly it's like premium.
Maybe that's what we need on our adverts. Can you develop a Belgian accent? Or
I mean, I'd probably offend quite a few people, but I could try.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't know if this is true, but we don't have enough listeners for them to fact check me on it, so I'm just going to say it anyway.
Go on.
That apparently that French fries come from Belgium, but when they were brought to North America, they just assumed that what they were hearing was French from Belgian people, and so called them French fries.
Really? Well, Belgian people do speak French, so it's possible they were speaking French.
Do you know who doesn't speak French?
You?
No, what's the song?
Oh,
Girls Aloud.
Girls Aloud, yeah.
Anyway,
That was so. Were you expecting me to get that from you saying, "Do you know who doesn't speak French?"
well, I mean, it is a banger.
Because the lyrics are, "I don't speak French."
Yeah.
It's not like they say, "Yeah, okay." Anyway.
I think it's actually I can't speak French. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Girls Aloud lore and canon aside, we want to do an update on Secret Norwich.
Yeah.
So-
that's our newsletter. For those who aren't familiar, that's a newsletter that we launched, a local newsletter.
So, very quick synopsis. What is Secret Norwich? Super quick.
It's a weekly newsletter in which we send a hidden gem or secret about the city of Norwich that we hope residents of Norwich won't know about.
Okay, nice. That was quick. Well done.
Thanks.
And we have been running Secret Norwich for how long now?
Oh, good question. I want to say about 3 or 4 months.
I think it is 3 months.
Yeah. I'm just going to load, actually. Oh, so the first one we sent, it was on my birthday, March the 11th.
Oh.
So it's July that we're recording this. So actually it's coming up for 4 months, Jamie.
4 months. And in our last update, we covered a few things. One of them was that we had just after 2 weeks, got to 1,200 subscribers.
Yeah.
There or thereabouts. So we're 4 months in. How many subscribers are we up to now, James?
So we're currently on, I'll give you the exact number. We're on 5,459.
Nice.
Yeah.
So good growth.
Yeah.
There was
Solid.
there was like a period of time where we stalled growth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's really annoying actually, because this newsletter I just cannot get it to grow organically. Like, that's the big challenge that we're having at the moment, Jamie, is that we are, aside from the first couple of 100 subscribers, which we got from various like Norwich-based communities, we have paid for basically all of our subscribers. We're running a really successful Facebook ad campaign at the moment, and I'd say the case study that we can take from this newsletter is like a masterclass in how to acquire subscribers through paid advertising. I think we've done that really well. But boy, we would be sweeping this under the carpet if we wanted a case study about how to grow a newsletter organically, because it just is not. People just don't want to spread the word about it. And I really thought it being a local newsletter that people would.
Yeah, I think there are, what I think with the organic thing, I think it pales only because it's being compared to our paid acquisition. So I think, because you're the one that's managing this mostly, and to be fair, there was some really good growth in the early days from organic, and you say maybe like a couple hundred, few hundred from organic, through kind of Facebook organic posts and Reddit, etc. And then I think you told me that we've had maybe 120 referrals from a referral campaign you ran.
Yeah.
You know, so we might be thinking, okay, well, 500 organic subscribers. Do you think that's fair, or do you think that's too much?
No, I think we've had more than that actually. So
Okay.
I think we've had probably nearer to 1,000. We've had 141 referrals, which isn't that much, to be honest with you. I really thought we would get more, but we ran a referral campaign. 89 subscribers took part in that, and 141 readers were referred. Although, you know, how many of those were just like alternative emails? And at the start, we went from about 0 to 700 before we'd actually ran a paid ad. So,
Okay.
So
we
yeah,
talked about 20% of the audience coming through organic. I just think the ads have performed so well that it's, you know, if you had a local newsletter and it had 1,000 subscribers and you hadn't paid a penny in ad to acquire those, and you weren't an email marketing agency running the newsletter, I think you'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
guess, yeah, there's a question here about our expectations. I suppose you're
Yeah.
right. I was surprised though that I was disappointed. So when we stopped running ads in May temporarily, as you've alluded to already, Jamie, we did that at 3,389 subscribers, and we did that because the ads were starting to get more expensive per subscriber. So we're aiming for a cost per acquisition of about 20 pence per subscriber, and it was creeping up to 30 pence. So we thought, let's pause them, let's like get some better creative through the door, and then let's rerun them later on. And in the month that they were paused, we grew by just under 300 subscribers. It was about 6 weeks that they were paused, which I thought was really poor. And that's when we ran the referral campaign, and we did other kind of thing. Like I'd post it here and there where people would let me. And I really thought the referral campaign would be huge. Like we included a secret section in every newsletter that I thought was just perfect. Like you get access to this extra bit of information or value because you've referred someone. And that was the idea. And yeah, just people didn't seem to be that fussed by it.
Interesting. I think some people would take 300 subscribers in 6 weeks. So yeah, I think we have big expectations for this. And, we have goals in which we want 25,000 subscribers, by early next year. So, and we have a point to prove here because, we run newsletters for a living. Okay, let's talk about that growth for a second then. Have you learned anything about the engagement metrics? Is there any correlation between how people engage with, the metrics that are being reported and the size of the list? Have you noticed any correlation there?
Yeah, there is a downward trajectory. And this is kind of newsletter economics 101. As your list gets bigger, it gets lower in quality. That's the general trend that we see across basically every newsletter that's ever existed. Of course, you can manually intervene to buck that trend by getting rid of poor quality subscribers as and when. And like there are some huge newsletters. 1440 is a good example. 1440. Google it. It's like one of the biggest newsletters in the world. It has 3.5-4 million subscribers. But they reckon that they maintain a 60% open rate. And they do that because they're constantly chopping away at unengaged subscribers. We haven't done any of that yet because we're still kind of trying to figure out what our normal is. But there has been a general decline in open rates as our audience has gotten bigger. And I think part of that is just because of newsletter economics. But part of it is also because we're getting most of our subscribers from Facebook Facebook Marketplace, from Facebook and Instagram. And the way that they subscribe, Jamie, is that they can actually fill out a form using their Facebook profile within Facebook or Instagram. So they don't need to leave Meta in order to come to our website and subscribe. And what that means is that the default email that they're using is whatever email they've used to sign up for their Facebook account or their Instagram account. I don't know about you, but the email address I used back in the day when I set up my Facebook account is not the email address that I use at the moment. So if I'd filled out this form to sign up for Secret Norwich, I wouldn't be receiving the Secret Norwich newsletter to my primary inbox. I'd be receiving it to, my old Hotmail address that I used to make Facebook back in like 2008.
Yeah. What was it like? Hips don't lie at hotmail.com or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't speak French at hotmail.com. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a problem that we're like monitoring, but generally the metrics are good. Like our overall average open rate across, and bearing in mind we sent an email yesterday, so it's temporarily a bit lower, but it's 50.78% across all of our sends, and our click-through rate is a massive 14.23%, which is really high. If you're not in email marketing, you might not appreciate how high that is, but like 2 to 5% on a click-through rate is like a target for most senders. So to be at 14 is unprecedented.
Yeah, that's cool. I think Yeah, that's good. I think the other thing that we probably need to point out there is like subscriber decay. And so,
Yeah.
when you're a new newsletter and you have 500 people in the first week, they're all super new and super engaged. And then as you over time, their engagement will decay. So that that's newsletter economics, right? The bigger you grow, the more likely you are to have a decay in engagement because your subscribers are older, or they're aging in terms of how long they've been subscribed for.
And also literally aging as well.
Mm. Yeah.
It's morbid to say, but eventually subscribers die.
Yeah.
Do you know Facebook has a whole department that is there to just deal with the number of users that they have that die every day? Because they're like, their biggest cause of churn now is death.
Yeah.
Because they have that many users, that like that is one of their main causes of like losing users.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Do we need a department for Secret Norwich to handle that?
I don't think we do yet, although I
Okay.
do think our audience skews to the elderly side, which is also quite interesting. Yeah, I think we have 60% of our audience are over the age of 50.
Yeah.
Which actually is kind of great. I think it's, those demographics tend to have a little bit more disposable income. They tend to be more engaged. I think part of why our click-through rate is so high is because like we always put a poll in our newsletter, and Jamie, I've never seen poll responses like these. Like we always get between 150 and 200 responses, which, for a newsletter that has only just passed 5,000 is like a huge percentage of people. And we share this poll right at the bottom, it's not at the top, it's right at the bottom. So to have that many people reading to the bottom and then bothering to respond to the poll is crazy. And I think that is a trait that you see more in older audiences as opposed to younger ones who are a little bit more cynical when it comes to providing feedback.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So you reckon if we think about the engagement metrics, if we think about that for a second and that they are good and the click rate's awesome, you touched on the fact that there's a poll which helps and that maybe the older audience helps as well. What else is happening within the newsletter that is contributing to good engagement overall? What are we doing well?
I think people enjoy reading it, which I know sounds like such an obvious thing to say, but it's not obvious, which is partly why Send Better Emails exists as a podcast. I think people do enjoy reading it. We got a poll response just yesterday from the newsletter we sent, because people can respond to the poll, but then they can also elaborate on their answer if they want by leaving a comment. And this one said something like, in fact, we had a couple. I'm actually going to try and find it, which I know is not fun to listen to whatsoever, but it was really nice. And this isn't me, by the way. This does lead to a point. This isn't me just kind of like bragging because we got a nice comment.
But it does illustrate the point that you're trying to make about people enjoying the content, right?
Yeah. So here it is. So it's from one of our readers, and it says, "Bloody love it. Pop a pot of coffee on and read this while it brews. A Sunday morning ritual now." We always get a lot of nice comments, but I particularly like comments like this because something that you and I talk about quite a lot, Jamie, is this idea of like, the regularity with which you send an email can contribute to someone's day in a way that it becomes part of their routine. And famously Matthew McConaughey tries to do this with his Lyrics of Living newsletter, where it's all about like bridging that gap between the work and the weekend. And he wants to insert himself into someone's day in that kind of meaningful transitional period. And I feel as though because we're sending this every single Sunday morning, it is starting to become a bit of a routine for some people. Someone else commented, again, this is on yesterday's, tea, biscuits and the Secret Norwich newsletter. What more do you need on a Sunday? So it's that like, I feel like the consistency of our send, and we generally speaking as an agency don't usually put too much stock into sending at a consistent time. Like we'd probably rather you test different times and test different days. But I think given that like Secret Norwich has always been like a Sunday newsletter, it's really benefited us in terms of like inserting ourselves into someone's morning. And it's quite warming to know that there are actually people that like look forward to it now. So
Yeah, that's really cool. We should use those comments in campaigns for sure to try and maybe an ad campaign or something.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
nice. So the ads that we're running, so we've refreshed our ad creative. It's animated short video
yeah.
with
It's
James's voiceover. Oh, by the way, just before I talk about that, Matthew McConaughey, I was going to say his newsletter. If you're listening, Matthew McConaughey, the sends aren't tailored to time zones. So the kind of Friday afternoon vibe that the newsletter tries to achieve is lost on me as a UK subscriber because it doesn't arrive until like nighttime on Friday night. So if you want some help with that, Matthew, you know where we are. Oh, I should say Mr. McConaughey.
and he does listen to this, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah. So this new ad creative. So a quick shout out to Indigo Illusions. They're a video and animation studio that share an office with us, and they helped put this together. James did the voiceover for it, and that's performing really well. So we aren't meta ad people when it comes in terms of like specialists, but something that we've learned is this video is outperforming any other creative that we've done, and all the other creative that we've done up to this point has just been images.
Yeah, it's outperforming them by some margin, and I was really amazed at how well it's performing. So just to elaborate a little bit on what Jamie was saying there, all we've done when it comes to setting up these Facebook ads, we do know an expert in Facebook ads. His name is confusingly also James. Let us know if you want an intro because he's excellent. All we've done so far for the Secret Norwich newsletter is shove it into Meta's like ad suite, checked a box that says like AI will optimize this, and then just let it run. And we've put in loads of creative, including images, like nice, big, beautiful images of Norwich. We've done the like iPhone Notes app style ads, which performed okay. Where it's like written out text on your notes app, and then you literally just take a screenshot and upload that as an ad, and it's a bit frame breaking because it doesn't look like an ad, and they did okay, but Facebook kept saying to us, and I'm using Facebook as a catch-all for Meta here, kept saying try a video, video will help. And I remember thinking, oh, will it though? Like, I don't sit there and watch videos, like ad videos. Like, I'd much prefer an image. But anyway, we tried one, as Jamie said, we got Indigo Illusions to help, and they're just awesome. I did a really shitty voiceover for it, and it has performed phenomenally. In fact, the Meta's AI, which optimizes where it shows ads based on how they're getting responded to, has basically stopped showing every other type of creative now. It pretty much just shows the video, and it's converting at 17 pence per acquisition. So that's how much we're paying for each subscriber at the moment, which, again, without context, that might feel expensive, particularly if we're talking about getting thousands of subscribers here. And it's not necessarily cheap, but for newsletter subscribers, that is as cheap as it possibly gets. Like, I've never known a paid ads campaign perform as efficiently as this one is when it comes to newsletter subscriber acquisition. Most newsletters would take £1.50, £2, £3, depending on their niche. 17 pence is a bargain. So we're going to keep it, we're going to make hay whilst the sun shines, I think.
Yeah, and we ran an ad campaign for the Inbox Club newsletter on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is famously much more expensive to run ads on than on Meta, but that CPA was, I think, floating around £2 to £3, and then started to climb up to £5 to £6. At which point we paused it. So, 17 pence. I mean, crikey! I wish we could get that for the Inbox Club newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just quickly to wrap this episode up, we've actually gone on longer than I thought. I want to ask you what's next for Secret Norwich, and I think it's something that begins with M.
Begins with M.
Yeah, M for mother.
Oh, monetization, I assume, is what you. Yeah, phew. I was like M.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. we're going to sponsor monster trucks. No, we're going to monetize Secret Norwich. That's the next step, and I think the next podcast that we do about this will be about how that's gone. And monetization, I mean, in some respects, Secret Norwich is already monetized because we're using it to advertise other things that we do. So we have started a tour company in Norwich, and we are advertising that through Secret Norwich. And, you know, it seems to be having a tangible impact on getting the word out where that's concerned. But we want a Secret Norwich to be like a newsletter business, not just an ad sales business. And so we're going to introduce a premium version of Secret Norwich at some point, probably quite soon. I think Jamie and I had kind of notionally said it would be 5,000. You know, we're now obviously past that. So, you know, it's ripe for a premium product. Like, engagement is really good. People seem to genuinely like it. We just need to make sure that what we're providing is like good value for money. And like, we want it to be irresistible for people that like Secret Norwich. And that is quite hard. You know, some newsletter products lend themselves to a premium version. Others, you kind of need to be a bit more creative in terms of what you're offering. And I think we probably fall into that latter category of, you know, newsletters that will need to be quite creative with what we're offering. But it's probably going to be extra emails, potentially a private community as well. It's something that Jamie and I need to discuss, but that's the next big step. We're going to keep Facebook ads running, continue to monitor their progress. And, you know, again, we said it last email and we'll say it again, just continue to send really good emails because, if we're not sending really good emails, then we certainly have no chance at asking people to pay for more.
Nice. Cool. That's been the Secret Norwich update. If you have questions about that, or you feel inspired to start your own newsletter, get in touch and, you know, we'd spend some time with you. Not going to charge you. We just want to see more good newsletters in the world. Yeah. Unless you're going to start up a one that's called like Hidden Norwich or something, and it's basically a rip-off of ours. But get in touch. We'll have a chat. Anything else, James, before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. You know where we are. We're here every Thursday. Let's send better emails.
Cheers.
Bye.